I'm going to start right now by describing what's going on inside my body as I'm talking. My heart is pounding. My hands are a little sweaty. My mind's racing. I'm trying really hard to think of all the things I came here to tell you about. Feeling just terrified. Have you guys seen this theater? But I'm standing here, and I'm standing up straight, and I'm smiling, and I'm looking right at you, even though that makes me just a little bit more nervous. Why would I do that? Well, I know that if I were to show those things to you, that you would only remember those things. You wouldn't remember anything I'm about to tell you. Keep in mind that we don't have to be on a stage in order to feel watched. When I was about 6 and my brother was about 4, we had one of those old metal rusty swing sets, and I was trying to teach him how to swing, and I said, "You go like this." And thinking back now, I know there's more to it than that. You kind of have to shift your body weight forward and back, but I was only 6, I couldn't put all that together yet. So I heard laughter, and I looked up, and I saw my parents standing on our screen porch and laughing as I talked. And I'm sure they were thinking, "Oh, so cute." But at that moment, it had a profound impact on how I came to see the world. I learned that there's an element of performance in everything we do, and we're being watched. So these two ideas, hiding fear in a public setting and the feeling of being watched, contribute to the idea of persona. Persona means mask. It is a way that we speak and act and dress with other people that causes them to see us as a particular kind of person. Our theme today is beyond boundaries, and you're going to hear all kinds of interesting ideas. But there's a chance that your persona might get in the way of activating these ideas after you leave. You're here and you're dressed for the occasion, but later you might feel too shy to approach someone or to make more than small talk with them. So persona is not the same as identity, and I didn't make up these ideas. They come from Erving Goffman and Carl Jung, but I've researched the way, as Steve said, that they work with teachers and in our modern lives. It might help to think about Shakespeare's famous saying, "All the world's a stage, and the men and women merely players." Thinking about persona is thinking about yourself as if you're on a kind of stage all the time. Persona can be easy to think about when we think about actors and celebrities. So David Bowie had a character, Ziggy Stardust. Beyonce has an alter ego named Sasha Fierce. Lady Gaga, when she wears her meat dress, I didn't wear my meat dress today, I left it at home, sorry. But when she appears in an egg, it's obvious, that's a persona. But she's not the same person when she is at home with her family and friends. But to a less dramatic degree, we're all doing it right now. I'm on this stage, but you're on that stage. I don't mean to make you nervous, but we wear these costumes and we carry these props, and we make eye contact as much as we feel comfortable with. Maybe some of you, when you're home alone with your family and friends, you tell fascinating stories and they gather around and laugh. Maybe some of you hate crowds in any setting, but you braved them for this occasion. And I'm glad you're here. But when you think about persona, it can seem bad if it means mask, but think about, sometimes a mask can protect us. Think about a welder. I'm going to propose that persona can serve 3 different primary functions, and that is as a mirror, a wall, or a window. And underneath all of these functions are the connections we either have or we don't have with another person. So the first function of persona is persona as mirror. Think back to the time that you had a job interview. Maybe you presented a persona that they wanted to see, and then you got the job. We even do this online. So here are 4 of my personae that I present, depending on the setting. So that one at the top, that's me on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. That's kind of my professional persona. The one on the right is me with my family. The one on the bottom is my roller derby persona. I do roller derby, surprise. And the one on the other side is me with my family as a kid. You can't really see my face there, but I look kind of mean. So you can see how it's different depending on the setting. So back to persona as mirror, and you in your interview. So you were presenting a persona, and they liked it, so they hired you. I can remember a time when I had a job interview right here at Virginia Tech when I was 22. I wore a navy pantsuit with a VT pin on the lapel, and that was to show my intense but professional and restrained school spirit. Look, there it is again. I was hiding some fear then, too, but I was mostly concerned with showing people that I was professional yet personable. I was someone they could trust and want to work with. I got the job, by the way, and I've done that in every interview since that day. Have you seen this symbol to make a heart when texting or typing? I noticed that people write this on paper. It doesn't really make sense to me, so I spent some time carefully crafting a status message about it on Facebook. You can't totally read it, but it ends with, guys, we have a symbol for that, right, the heart. You know, it enjoyed some limited success. I got 10 likes and a couple of comments. You know, thinking back, I'll use that feedback to refine my witty and sarcastic persona. It's not negative. I kind of like being seen that way. But it shows you that I'm not just being myself. I'm presenting a self. And the two are different. But when we do this too much, when we reflect back what people expect from us, it can feel kind of hollow or fake. So Eleanor Roosevelt once said, when you adopt the values and standards of someone else, you become less of a human being. There's a really thin connection between us with the mirror. So the second function of persona is persona as wall. Think back to a time that you interacted with someone who was struggling. Maybe you didn't press them about a personal topic because you thought it might be too painful. Maybe you didn't know what to say. You let your persona and theirs interact in a superficial way. We call this small talk. When I was 22, I wasn't wearing a pantsuit for this. I found out that I had thyroid cancer, and I was terrified, much like today. But I didn't show people that. I didn't want to talk about it because I didn't want to show them that I was sick. I thought they might see me that way. So if someone had asked and held my hand, would I have put down that wall I had built? Yes. But we do this. We accommodate people by putting up walls for them. One of my students last year said, no one likes a negative Nancy on Facebook, and we do that. We tend to construct overly positive persona, and we delete the rest from our story. There's a new movie out now called The Butler, and the main character, it's loosely based on the life of Eugene Allen. He said, I could see the faces that the butlers wore, and I knew I'd live my life with those same two faces. When you have a wall between you, there's no real connection with another person. It's often about appearances. And that can feel fake or disheartening or upsetting. The third function of persona is persona as window. So have you ever wondered how you might respond if there's an emergency? You might have to play a role you don't play all the time. You might surprise yourself and others. We all know people who can look us in the eyes and show us that they care about us and that they have time for us. And we see those personae and we think, maybe someday I will do that for someone who needs it. When first responders come to help at the scene of a tragedy, there's no time or space for them to show the fear or anger they have inside. What matters is the self, the helper they become to people who need it. Teachers do this all the time. So they might smile on the outside when inside they're feeling terrible or sick or hurt. And that is so their students can have a positive experience. One of the toughest, loudest roller derby women I know is named Evil. She can hit hard. I don't know if you can see this bruise. I'm not sure if she did it, but she might have. It was probably her. But she's a teacher, and she knew instantly what I meant when I said teacher persona. You can't be the same person in the classroom as you are on skates. So in the classroom, she is calming and gentle. She calls her students sweetie and honey. I never did that when I was a teacher, but I have learned lately that I actually like it when people say that to me, even strangers. Good teachers allow their audience's response to filter through them so they can adjust the self they present in the classroom. This quote shows we tend to remember our teachers who can do this, even more sometimes than the lessons they've taught us. Who here remembers a teacher they had for the kind of person they were? Yeah, so almost everybody. And now that we have the magic of the internet, there are so many more tiny interactions than there were before. And these are all ways to show that you are a complex person. So when you post a status update to 200 or 1,000 friends, there are checks and balances now about the kind of persona you present. And there's certainly drawbacks to this kind of interaction when a computer mediates it. You can't look someone in the eye. Well, maybe if you're doing Skype, you can look somebody in the eye, but you can't hold their hand. But think about all the connections you have with people now that you wouldn't have had otherwise before the advent of Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and so on. So there are checks and balances in this kind of setting. So just recently, the speaker you heard, Patty Ron, she checked me on Facebook once when I said, "My brother is turning 50 and he must feel old." She reminded me that I'm friends with people who are over 50 and they don't all feel old. In fact, some of them live more adventurous lives than people half their age, and they show us that on Facebook. So we should also be more thoughtful about the personae we present online, because it follows us. In a 2010 talk by Paul Adams on SlideShare, he said that one reason people post status updates is to shape the way people perceive them, and that's similar to the mirror. But another reason people do it is to build and grow relationships, and that's similar to the window. The window is about connecting often and in unexpected ways. It's a way to show that you're a complex person. It's a way to wear a mask that can change to wear many masks all at once. It's a cycle of watching and then enacting performances with other people. And I don't want you to forget that you're not just the actor, you're also the audience. Not just right now, for me, but for every interaction you have expectations of people in those settings too. And sometimes they're not fair. So maybe you see teenagers being loud on public transportation, and we glare, silently judge, curse them. We forget. We overlook that there are depths to people. There are depths in ourselves that we overlook when we try to create personae and ultimately construct identities that we think other people want. Don't reduce people to one persona, and don't present one persona. The next time you interact with someone, I hope you'll see their persona for what it is, a mask, and it can change. Sometimes you have to reach up and wrench the mask away from someone, and they'll thank you for it. Sometimes they didn't even know it was there. It's almost as if it was a part of their skin. Sometimes people need the mask to function and feel safe. Sometimes you give people a mask. And sometimes people will actually tell you what they need, and you will draw on your memory of other people's personae to give that to them, even if it's new and different. So this talk has basically been an invitation to think about your persona and the boundaries that you might construct with other people when you create them. And here's how. I want you to embrace persona and use it to your advantage, but then think beyond it. So first, for the mirror, know what people expect and give it to them when it's reasonable and acceptable, but then go beyond. Challenge people's expectations of how people in your role should look or dress or act or think. Second, for the wall, identify when you or someone else is building one and why, and then work at dissolving it when the time is right. Sometimes boundaries are actually positive. They can establish where one thing ends and another begins. But when we negotiate that with other people, we can work at dissolving it. So, and third, for the window, know the part of yourself that you like the best and share that with people. Ask people questions that help you actually get to know them better. Every stage we have, every interaction is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to enact positive personae and to show people who are often younger than us how we need to walk in the world to make a positive change. So when you leave today, I hope you will be a complex person and blur the lines, challenge people's expectations, and give people a peek behind your mask. Thanks.